the was president, this guy named Jonathan Odie. He's from South Africa, a native of South Africa, so he's got a little bit of an accent. Uh, he broke into like a Donald Trump resort. I guess he had a crush on Melania, and burnt a flag and shot a gun up in the lobby or whatever. Police showed up, shot him in the leg, and so you're like, okay, what the hell does this have to do with Diddy? This gets wild because this was in 2018. In 2018, when he got arrested, it very well maybe that he did all this shit to get national attention because he demanded to talk to the FBI, to the Secret Service because he had some crazy shit to talk about. So it very well could have been that he shot up that whole Donald Trump hotel just to get that attention, and not get snuffed out. But when he's getting in under interrogation, he basically starts saying that he was a sex slave for P. Diddy in 2018, and he was ordered to bang out Cassie, and he was saying Puff Daddy was part of the Boule, the Black Society of the Illuminati. But again, what makes everyone dismiss this guy? Everyone said, "Oh, this guy's crazy. He shot up a hotel." You can't take none of this guy's.
But here's one thing. Here's one thing that I have to put out there. And since you brought up the Boule, I have to say this, and this can't be like we can't skip past this. Any of the major players that you see that are in Black entertainment, and I'll even say not only music and movies and stuff, to the LeBrons and stuff. You see, LeBron has a giant what is it, Boule tattoo on his chest, and for those people who don't know about the Boule, you got to look up the Prince Hall Freemasons and start looking into that stuff. And you'll see most of the power players that you've seen in the Black community, going all the way back even to Martin Luther King, were part of the Boule.
Yeah, it's something that I honestly didn't know nothing about until I found out about this Jonathan Odie guy. Let me play this clip, man, because again, keep in the back of your mind, this was done in 2018. Cassie's lawsuit only recently came out. And so if you're familiar with what Cassie had to say, the fact that this son of a gun is saying it 5 years earlier, prior to this, is damn, it lends even more credibility to everything Cassie was saying in many ways. Let's see. So let me play this. All right, can you see that?
Davis and Ross, which are good buddies, okay? They're gay. Both Katie and Ross and Kevin, they're all gay. Okay?
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and P. Diddy?
Yeah.
They're all gay?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Got it.
So for those that didn't understand, because he's got a thick South African accent, he's saying DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, they're all gay. He's saying this in 2018, bro. So let's go on.
He's a Hamas supporter. Okay.
Supporter?
Hamas.
And he just said he's a Hamas supporter.
Hamas.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said it wrong.
No.
Hamas supporter. Okay. I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate, tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot.
Hidden in plain sight.
Exactly.
I think I see what you're saying.
Okay, how do I know this?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How do you know this?
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, what?
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati.
Okay.
And it's the Black people. Okay. I'm from Africa, so I'm not a racist. Okay, you're my brother, so I like Black people.
Okay.
My mom, I was raised by an African woman in my house. Okay. She was just conservative, but she was my she, took care of me.
Right.
So I love Black people. Okay. I had a settlement with Sean. Okay. And he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous. They land over contracts. It's these attorneys, which are Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes. Ben Mercedes worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for 4 years and worked for Hillary Rodman for 5. Okay? When I take Sean the threat of death on me, okay? I don't have it, but I can make it available under secrecy. That means that I wouldn't be liable because I don't want to be getting framed for anything. Okay. I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate, tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with people and stuff, and I was like a sex slave. Okay, for them that's what I was. All right. I called Herpes, and I came back and I seen for Herpes and won. But they did Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes were his attorneys, okay? And Christopher Leon's here was my attorney. They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so. They gave it back to me accidentally, and it's possible I threw everything out. It's possible I can produce a copy.
Yeah, sure.
It's possible. I'm not sure. I want you $5 million with Diddy. Okay, was he scared that I was exposed?
I don't want to talk about Diddy right now. I want to talk about you. Help me understand you. I mean,
Oh, you're muted.
That's some wild ass shit, bro. What are your thoughts on what we just heard? Again, keeping in mind that this was in 2018.
I mean, it would make sense because like the rumors have been going around for quite some time. I'm talking about I remember hearing about stuff, in the late 90s, like about Diddy. I mean, I'm talking about like 98, 99, 2000. I mean, when the first time that anybody started kind of questioning anything with Diddy was after Tupac got shot the first time. And then Big came out with that song "Who Shot You," and so that's when I start getting cut his way, and it was rumored that Diddy had something to do with it. Now I don't know for a fact if he did or he didn't, but just the fact of that he was even named to be looked at is what got a lot of people to start looking Diddy's way on many things and start really investigating. And there were many times where Diddy was like beating people up and getting into altercations with people, and it was getting swept up under the rug over and over and over. And he was the only person that I had heard of that was doing the kind of stuff he was doing and getting away, free of charge, free of harm almost every time. And that's what started really raise red flags on like, okay, how connected is this dude? And then for him to just constantly keep moving up and up and up. I mean, the thing with Shaka Khan where he was up in her face and cussing her out and getting very violent with her in a very public exchange. And then her Shaka Khan's daughter was trying to defend her, and Shaka Khan's son, who was like 19 at the time, like Diddy's bodyguards, like beat the hell out of him. And the whole thing just got swept. We hear nothing about it. Even though it was at like a public function, then like, recorded and stuff just kind of disappeared. We hear, how like this was kind of before TMZ, I think. It would be like Entertainment Tonight, and you would hear it like you hear something real quick and then boom, you hear nothing else completely thing just vanishes.
Yeah, it's wild. That's another Epstein similarity right there, though. And that to me is what kind of shows that Diddy was or is intelligence, an intelligence asset. Intelligence assets can get away with a lot of shit, bro, because and let's go back Epstein, since we're I want to make a lot of the similarities. Epstein was involved in a $500 million Ponzi scheme back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
people getting involved in a $500 million Ponzi schemes is going to get locked up for decades, if not for life.
Mhm.
A lot of times they take that way more serious than even a homicide. That's just how the justice system is. And yet Epstein didn't go to prison. His partner did. His partner got locked up for 15 goddamn years.
Mhm.
But Epstein just got a slap on the wrist. So again, whether it's Diddy or Epstein, they commit these things that the average person would be doing hard time for.
Mhm.
And the authorities, the feds, they seem to look another way when it comes to their wrongdoings over and over again. I mean, I don't know if you read Tom O'Neill's book on the Charles Manson murders, but Charles Manson was committing crimes way before he became the Charles Manson we all got to know. But he was committing crimes left and right. And every time he was allowed to walk because he
Mhm.
was an intelligence asset. And so that's where um, I'm starting to think that he's definitely connected to intelligence. And I'd like to hear your thoughts, whether you agree or not, Marcus. But I mean, what makes me go there too is how social engineering through music. There's always, there's subliminal messaging going on through music. And so if Diddy was an asset in the music industry, his role was through maybe subliminal messaging. Uh, and we're hearing all these gay things going on in the hip hop world. Uh, and then you see Little Nas X bumping and grinding with Satan. All this gay shit in hip hop, where years ago that would have been like, no, you wouldn't even thought about it doing any of that shit. But it's been slowly embraced and accepted. And again, that's part of that social engineering, part of that subliminal messaging. What are your thoughts?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say he's an agent, like as far as like he's given specific orders and he's executing things. If anything, I would say he's more of an informant. Um, which that's where I would say they're a little bit different, as in Diddy is used to gather information and evidence and leverage on more artists to be used in whichever way they want to, which artists, how they're going to push different messaging and things like that. And the because most of the time when they're the subliminals, it's done a lot of times with the way the music is mixed and the different hertz and frequencies that are being used in the music. um Extatention, he was talking about that, how he could use different frequencies, how it can help alter your mood and have you feel in a certain way, and you combine them with the lyrics. And when you had what was it, that meeting that happened with a whole bunch of record execs, that I think it was Crazy Bone was talking about. And Crazy Bone was talking about how it was this big meeting with all these record execs, and they were offering all of these artists and stuff like that. They were offering them a whole lot more money and stocks in private prisons to start altering their music, and start going for more of the gangster rap. And that was something that was pushed upon by a lot of them. So where I see kind of a difference is it was targeted from a governmental level to affect listeners of said hip hop music, to try to target certain messages to them. Whereas I feel Epstein was used similarly to gather evidence and leverage on politicians, to control them. So uh, Epstein's being used to control politicians and lawmakers, to get them to vote and act a certain way for political interests, which I don't know, we may expound into, we may not. But and then Diddy is used to control a subset of a population, to kind of break things up. Because if you go into what the CIA and FBI was doing as far as flooding the black community. Well, I'd say black and brown communities with drugs, prostitution, liquor stores, taking out a lot of employment opportunities. So when you put people in a desperate state, and then you throw criminal activity is a very, very enticing way to make quick money. It's going to entice people into those types of lifestyles.
Yeah, it's a big web when it comes down to it. And if you just only pay attention to mainstream media, in both cases, and the Diddy stuff is still fairly new, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be
technically it's not new. See, that's the crazy part about it.
No,
this
that's
video
what
is
I'm saying.
old.
I'm talking about mainstream, like with everyone talking about it. That's what I mean.
You know why though?
Why is that?
And me and Chris, we slightly disagree a little bit about this. It goes back to his distributor. For those who don't know, he had big money into what is it called? Ciroc, and he had his own liquor with Ciroc, and Ciroc is I guess a leg of this giant major liquor conglomerate that has, I mean, most of the major liquors that you've heard of that you drink are all under this and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but it's like Diageo or something like that company. A lot of times when you get these contracts and you see rappers get these music contracts or shoe contracts or clothing contracts, somebody higher up, as far as in their circle of executive producers and owners of companies, a lot of times will facilitate these meetings. That's the reason why if you look into the Little Rod lawsuit, Little Rod is suing Diddy and he's suing Lucien Grange. And somebody asked in there earlier about Jimmy Iovine. And it's kind of a similar type of situation. This is just a different person, because this is not only like, it's not like one of these things like, and I wouldn't even say Epstein is like this like kingpin type figure and it branches out. He's just like one of the cells that facilitate this kind of behavior, and it's happening throughout the record industry. You have a bunch of different people who are over people and who are running basically operations like this.
Yeah, man, and I just wanted to interject. Yeah, that's kind of the point where I was getting at, where the media makes them out to be there. It's no different than these other stuff like JFK. You have a lone gunman. Abraham Lincoln, you have a lone gunman. It's always these lone people. Epstein, he was just a lone billionaire ped. P. Diddy's going to be made out to be a lone Hollywood elite pedophile. It's always those guys, and the buck stops with them. That's what we are fed to believe. But in reality, I agree with you, Marcus. They're just another face. There's bigger fish behind them. And the way I feel about it is, at some point they did something to piss someone off, and that's when they get exposed. They have to go through the humiliation ritual. We saw that with Bill Gates. Bill Gates was the face of the vaccine movement. He was the good guy. Like, get your vaccines, everyone. And then all of a sudden, he must have pissed someone off, and they discarded him like a used rubber. And now no one respects Bill Gates. And so when they've run their useful purpose, they're discarded, bro. And that's just the way it is.
Well, you know what happened with with Diddy, what I believe, this is what I believe is the catalyst to getting all of this kicked off, is his feud that he was having with that company. He started coming out saying that company was racist. And when he started going there, Then shortly after, all of this starts coming out after he decides to sue him. Says Prince knew all this shit that was going on and above, and this is why he was offended. Yeah, well, remember we talked about Prince too on Thursday, and Prince, what was happening?
We had our own little private
yeah,
podcast, and it was
yeah.
fire.
Oh yeah, y'all missed that one. But to sum up what we talked about in there, Prince was at the point where he was about to get his name back. And for those who don't remember, when he started going by the artist formerly known as Prince, it's because it affected like his way of making money, and they were taking a lot of money from Prince. And so he had to wait out the end of that contract to be able to get his name back. So then he could start getting royalties and things like that for the work that he did. Well, it's coming to an end. And then somehow he comes to an end. And it's the same thing if you want to tie in Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was, it was big disputes about trying to get Michael Jackson's catalog. And Michael Jackson's had the Beatles catalog. And Michael Jackson was trying to push like so many different things, which people like a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff that people have no clue about that Michael Jackson was doing. That like for instance, the whole MCU stuff that you see with these whole universes that you see now that people are creating. Michael Jackson wanted to do some of those types of things like that. He wanted to get into Disney. He wanted to start dealing with movie projects and all that. And this is what led into his demise, in my opinion. And there's a audio that I don't know how authentic it is or not, but this audio on there, he's talking to his agent, he's talking about that he thinks that he won't be around too much longer.
God damn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of weird stuff with a lot of these people in Hollywood or in the music scene. I mean, Prince definitely knew some inside shit, man. And one of the clips that I played before on my show is he was somewhere in Europe. I think it was Amsterdam. And in 1999, he was talking about Osama bin Laden getting ready to bomb. Have you heard that, Jam?
Mm-mm.
Bro, I'll have to play it. You know what? I'll look for it. Yeah, in 1999, it's got a crazy funk ass rhythm. It's funky. Everyone's bobbing their heads. It's just audio, but everyone's jamming out. If this would have been done after 2001, he would have got booed off the damn stage. But it's 1999. No one knows who the hell Osama bin Laden is. So he's just casually saying, you know, Osama bin Laden's getting ready to bomb in 2001 or some shit like that. And you're like, what the fuck did Prince know? So he knew some shit, man. And maybe that was his way of letting people know through his own subliminal messaging. I don't know, man. But there's a lot of crazy shit, man. And that's the thing. Not everyone in Hollywood and in the music industry has been corrupted. Not everyone. I'd say a grand majority of them. A grand majority of them are, but not.
That's where we disagree, my friend.
You think everyone is like DMX?
Oh, yeah.
For example, like a DMX. He was calling out a lot of this hip hop shit back in the day.
The difference is when you start talking about a different time period, you have to factor in that there was ways to go around the machine back then. It's not now, since everything is a lot more convenient. It's online and streaming this and that, but it's more controlled by the execs, and they're able to really push you out if they don't want to. Whereas you were still able to get around that in ways. That's the reason why you had more independence. But up till now, the people, I mean, you had to have made a name for yourself. It's kind of like the same thing with being on YouTube. If you're a content creator, it's a lot harder to break through now, as in if you would have been doing, if we would have been doing this 15 years ago, it'd be easily sitting on 300, 400,000 subscribers. But
yeah, it's funny you say that, because I was thinking the same thing. So we're on the same page. It's just I didn't clarify my stance a little bit better. No, and I'm just laughing right now because I was thinking the exact same thing. How it's all when you look at an artist, the artist that you see today in 2024, the virality of an artist, you know, going mainstream or whatever, these are people that have been selected to be stars because the talent is everywhere, man. You can find a super talented motherfucker singing on the fucking subway, talented than most anyone you'll hear on the fucking radio. But
did you hear Corey Holcomb?
Radio, who?
Did you hear what Corey Holcomb said about Tiffany Haddish?
No.
Oh, he goes into basically what you're saying right now.
Yeah, see, this is just my own musings. Is that anyone that you see going viral and hitting these Billboard charts, topping all these charts, whatever they may be, these people have been pre-selected. That's who's going to be on top of it. And it's the same thing with these politicians. Think about it. It's the same thing with these politicians. You could have someone on the street corner getting crowds, speaking truth bombs. They're never going to get selected, man. It's going to be the person that's already pre-selected. And so, what does that have to do with YouTube censorship? It's the same damn thing. When I first had my YouTube channel, I grew to 5,000 subs in just a few months. I was on my way to 10K on my first year. I had live streams with 600 people, and I lost that. This is like literally my third channel, and we get like 10 people on fucking streams, 30 people at most. It ain't shit, but they shut you down through their censorship. They only will prop up the people that they want to prop up. That's YouTube safe, quote unquote. And it's the same thing with these artists. These artists that are gonna toe the line, that are gonna go to these parties, that are gonna get blackmailed. Those are the people that's gonna rise and top the charts.
Yeah, I mean, and when I say like before, like perfect example, like a Master P, you couldn't do what Master P did now. You can't. It's just you couldn't do it the way he did it back then. Master P was selling tapes out the back of his car.
I remember
that. You can't blow up like that now. I mean, and he took the money that he was slanging, and he took that money with selling out the back of his car to opening a music store. That music store, and for every album that he sold, he would give like a copy of his, like $1, $2, just to get his name out there and get the buzz. And a lot of times, the big part of your name blowing up in the industry is name recognition. You get name recognition, you get airplays. The more airplays, the more people listen. Because everybody, think about it. Everybody knows a song that they listen to or they like now that they could not stand. And it's because you heard that song over and over and over. And that repetition, it beats you down. And it's the same thing with politics. If you don't have a big enough name, if you can't get on all these shows and get in everybody's faces, you will not get elected. It's impossible. But in order for you to get that name ID and recognition, you have to play ball with certain peeps. And if you will not play ball with certain peeps, you're not going to make it.
100% agreed. Gregory Walker, shout out to Gregory. With a
what's up, Greg?
NBA Young Boys. That's another fine example of the people they choose, man.
You think Sexy Red is organic? I mean, come on.
Yeah, man. It's just whoever's willing to play ball. If you're willing to play ball, you're willing to give up them cheeks to Diddy. You're going to become a superstar. And how is that any different than what Harvey Weinstein was doing in Hollywood? It's the same fucking shit.
No different.
It's the same game plan. It's just used over different genres, if you will. I guarantee you there's a country music Diddy Epstein. I guarantee you there's a rock and roll Diddy Epstein. But why haven't we heard anything about it? Because they've probably been tight-lipped.
You haven't noticed like even in the rock industry, there's certain people where when they first came out, you love their music, and then all of a sudden when they hit this other level, the music just started sounding different. You're can't put my finger on it.
Look at Taylor Swift. You're gonna tell me that Taylor Swift isn't a propaganda tool to teaming up with that what's that NFL tight end
Travis Kelsey.
with Travis Kelsey to promote the vaccine? You're gonna tell me that's not a government psyop? I mean, we see this shit over and over. It's not just hip hop. It's not just Epstein in the political party. We see that every
Which
goddamn
in
aspect.
athletes' defense, a lot of them are useful idiots. A lot of them have no clue. They're just like, hey, whatever's going to get me the bag.
Well, and even then, you have some rogue ones. Kyrie Irving is an example of a rogue agent. I may not agree with all his views, like the whole flat earth stuff, but he's out there voicing his views, and he gets suspended regularly. He doesn't obey vaccine mandates. He's always talking shit, but he's too damn good.
This got to be hell. This got to be hell for the owner right now.
Yeah,
because the owner is an ardent Zionist, and I think she only got the team. Once he got traded there, she got the team, I think, in hopes. Oh, I'm about to end his fucking career. And then what happens? He starts winning for you. So, what do I do? Do I keep winning and making money, or do I follow my anger and hatred of this guy? Which do I do? So now you're conflicted. Now is a possibility he could take them to an NBA Finals, and she could make so much freaking money. And you could take that money and fuel it to the cause. And so, do I deal with this dude I can't stand, make the money off of him, then I can turn it to more birthright trips and more funding of the IDF, or do I crush this guy I can't stand? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, and that's where Kyrie Irving's natural abilities and talents is what's carrying him. If he was a bench player or a B class,
he'd be gone. He would be gone.
He'd have no room in the NBA. But it's his talents and his abilities that have given him some kind of
give him leadway,
armor. Yeah, so you know.
Well, that's like you were saying with the DMX. That's like
yeah.
DMX built up enough of a product and name ID for himself over the years that he can get away with saying a little bit here and there that they don't like or agree with, because they make so much more off of him. And also it's the same thing with when you're a lesser name, kind of like flip it back to YouTube. If you're a smaller name, they could just boom, kill your channel, toss you out of the way, and we're done with you. We don't have to hear them at all. But when you get to 500,000 subscribers, or like the Russell Brands and like the Jimmy Dores, if they start like completely canceling things out that they do or blocking their channels down because they have a bigger name ID, now you have bigger pushback that comes back your way.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just have a quick little personal story.
That's a good comment.
Where I work, a few months back, I got into it, man, with the guy who was in charge of payroll, and I guess he got promoted to basically just underneath the owner of the company. So he got promoted to that big time spot, and I had no idea. He called me up to bitch me out, and every bullshit he threw at me, I threw it right back at him, and I was hitting him, and I was destroying him, rhetorically speaking. And he's used to me being, like a grunt, and this guy's, college educated. He wasn't used to someone to match his intellect or outwit him. And so that was angering him. And I just kept my composure. And then he was threatening to fire me. And I go, are you asking me to quit? Or are you threatening me to fire me? I'll fucking quit right now. What do you want, bro? I'll leave. And he goes, well, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking you that. And when I got back in from work that day, 3 cats got fired. I survived the cut. Why did I survive it though? Is because I produce. I got driver of the month for the last couple of months in the company. Best driver in the entire company. And so you know, I think back at that.
Yeah, he goes
and
after you. He got some questions to answer.
What's that?
Yeah, if he went after somebody like you, then he got some questions to answer.
Well,
now he got some pressure. Those other people,
but
he could probably toss a lot easier.
yeah, but that's the thing though. That's what carried me. You know, like was that I do produce and I do my job to the best of my abilities and I kick ass and it shows for it. And so that's why I survived the cut when other motherfuckers got fired that same day, you know, and so it's a different realm, you know, what I do, but and to basketball completely different, you know, it's apples to oranges, but the concept is there is because Kyrie Irving's ability and talents is what's allowed him that longer leash, if you will. Even though he still suffers repercussions for the shit he says.
Of course. I mean, they've tried, but now that he's winning, it's a whole lot harder when they're winning too. I want to respond to her, Angelina's comment there about the middle class, about the white middle class, the ones who are more falling for a lot of this stuff. And the reason why is because the image has been portrayed through Hollywood and through the music industry, a caricature, and then you combine that with the media also of the Black community, and so the Black community is being judged off of the negative stereotypes that have been built in, and so it doesn't show you about the dad who's the 9-to-5er and married to his wife. They've been married for 25, 30 years. They, you know, their kids all raised well and go off to college, and you don't hear those stories. All you hear is everything being focused on the negative aspects of the community, and that's done on purpose. That's the reason why Black people in this country, when they leave and go to Europe or they go to Egypt or they go to China, anywhere around the world, they still face racism because of what this media has pumped out and the power as it has, that it's been able to influence the viewpoints. It's the same thing with Hispanics also. It's the exact same thing. Why every Hispanic actor got to play a cholo? Why? You got to typecast them that in 15 movies straight. They can never be the protagonist. They can never be a doctor, lawyer. Why is that?
What's funny too, the stereotypes that get pushed out and then people buy into it. You know, I work. I work. Well, what I do for work, I'm in construction zones every day. Mostly new construction sites, you know, where they're building new homes. And I've got a little business plan, but I've run into where the racial wars are fought. Yeah, the racial wars are fought online for the most part, but where they're fought in the real world, you know where they're fought, bro? In the porta potties. The race wars exist in the porta potties.
Yes, it is. Dude, all over the porta potties and bathrooms. Yeah.
And sometimes they're hilarious. Like I can't help but laugh. But it all goes back to a lot of these stupid ass stereotypes. It's divide and conquer at the end of the day.
What it is a lot of people in the white community. I'm not saying all, but got to make sure I clarify that. Not saying all. The reason why I say a lot is you got to remember, out of the 350 million people roughly in here, probably about at least 150 million of them are white, at least, possibly even higher than that. All it takes is, let's say, a third of them are racist. That's 50 million people. That's more. That would qualify as more racist white people than all the Black people in America. And that's just saying if only a third are. And then that's if it's 150. Let's say it's 200. I mean, you see what we're saying here?
Yeah. The numbers.
The numbers are much higher. Are
exponentially higher. I just think too, though. Shit, I live in South Florida. You see Confederate flags everywhere.
You got plenty of. Oh shit, I know.
Plenty. But it's funny how I've lived here 10 years and my views have drastically changed.
Mhm.
Uh, on the whole racism issue, I think a lot of it is overhyped to do it. There's always going to be fucking idiots, man, and that's where my mental evolution has come in. Because before I was like, nah, fuck it, it's the biggest thing, it's the biggest issue we're dealing with now. And now living here for 10 years, I mean, I just ignore the motherfuckers. I don't even give them the time of day.
Well, see, you can't pay attention to the person who yells out the window a racist slur.
Yeah, because
That's
it's just
not the one. That's not the one that's the problem. The problem is that judge or that person at the bank. That's when it's the problem. That's the real problem.
yeah, 100%. And um, but at the same time, some of those people went through that shit when they were kids. So it's just that
Well, they've been
stupidity,
raised with it.
unfortunate. Yeah, they were raised with it. It's not to justify it by any
Mhm.
means, because there's some people that are raised in horrible conditions and overcome it. So it's the same shit. So I don't know. I just feel nowadays, and then there's the extremists on the other side. Oh, it doesn't even exist. It's just a left wing thing. That's bullshit too. It does exist. I'll fucking
Mhm.
prove it to you. How do you want me to prove it to you? Do you want text? Do you want pictures of this? What do you want? Um, and so there's always extremes to the both ends of the spectrum. And so I'm always trying to be a little bit, centered, trying to be moderate. All right. Like you and I were talking about the other day, you have to look at everything with nuance.
Mhm.
Not everything is black and white.
No,
There,
definitely not.
there's all this gray area you got to navigate through to make a better informed decision at the end of the day. Yeah, it's
Well, I would throw in this since we've talked about the rock industry, a mixture of the country industry, hip hop. You even see it more in like what's like. I don't think you see it as much in like some of the different subcultures of like let's say like banda or ranchero or you don't see it in ones like that which aren't as globally popular, but when you start looking at salsa or reggaeton, you start seeing it more there. Spanish rock, um you will see it in those aspects, even into like Afro beats. You see this gatekeeping that you have to make it through. Now, if your genre is popular only in a subculture and it doesn't start branching out to multiple cultures, then you don't have as much of that influence. But the moment you start hitting the big money, K-pop also, I can't stand it, but it's a market for it. And once it's a market for it on that larger stage, just pop music in general,
anything that
the
gets big,
vultures
bro.
get in and control
It's
it. Yep.
just, yeah, it's the same patterns with these politicians. Um, anything that goes mainstream, that's gonna get controlled. This is
Mhm.
exactly this is exactly why I don't trust any of these big name politicians. What the fuck did they have to do to get to that point? You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? You don't get there organically, man. If you're authentic and organic, you ain't gonna grow, bro. You only go viral. Your message only goes viral if it's allowed to go viral. You
And
are only allowed to
mhm.
become president that is if you're allowed to become president.
Yep.
Um, I have a feeling Trump is going to be a president, no question.
Mhm.
And people are like, "Oh, the system is fixed again." No bullshit. It's all planned. And unfortunately, a lot of people still believe in the system. The whole system
Mhm.
is rotted
Mhm.
from the top down. This whole thing, we what we need is a goddamn revolution. I've been saying that for a while now. I read Thomas Paine's Common Sense book. He wrote that book uh, in the mid 1700s, I believe. That's what inspired the American Revolution. And in that book, he was basically pleading for people to start the revolution right there and then, because if people would have done it early, they were too small. They would have got squashed. You do it too late, people get too pussified, for lack of a better term, and you don't
I
do
felt
shit.
he was wrong. I felt that if it would have been done early, you could have built the organization, and you could have built out a organization and the numbers. Um, when you do it at that level, because now they have the means to be able to track everything. They're able to track these kind of conversations, these platforms. They're able to go through your phone records. They're able to get your emails. They're able to get your locations to when you meet up with this person and that person. And if they feel, oh, well, this person's smart enough, okay, they know how to make sure to leave their phone behind and stay away from areas where there's great cell reception, and then have these conversations off the grid. Then they're going to put a spy on you so that they have, a physical person tracking. Or if they can't get that person to physically track, then they'll try to infiltrate, and they're going to have to get eyes and ears in somehow, some shape. And so the level that this system has gotten to at this point, I feel like it makes it's going to have to be a lot of people with a lot of willingness to be sacrificed or martyred in a sense. You're gonna have to be willing to take a hit for the team in order to get that going, because that first wave of people who start that, just know that they're going to be the people who are on t-shirts.
Yeah, no question.
I feel like we can't forget this with the whole Diddy thing without tying this.
Yeah, let's go back to the Diddy, man. Yeah,
this didn't just start with a Diddy. You got to look at, okay, well, then who got Diddy started in this? Well, for those who listen to old school R&B, well, have y'all heard of a man by the name of Quincy Jones?
Well, yeah, you did mention Quincy Jones. How the hell did I forget that? Let's go into that. For those people that this is probably the first time they're hearing about Quincy Jones, give us a little background, man, and let's go down your theory of Quincy Jones and P. Diddy, man. This shit is fire right here. You ain't gonna hear it anywhere else. So,
you go into Quincy Jones, and he's tied in with Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy, for those who don't know, Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, all of that. Quincy Jones for the longest has been like the El Padrino. He's been like the godfather of like black music over this last era, especially after the fall of like Motown Records and Cadillac Records. And if you even listen back to Cadillac Records, that's the reason why I feel like there was that fall of Cadillac Records and the rise of Motown, is because Cadillac Records was calling out a lot of this stuff that was going on in the music industry all the way back in the 40s and 50s. So the same kind of abuse, the sexual stuff that was going on, the getting robbed of contracts, the taking of money, stealing people's songs and giving it to other artists. All of these things have been going on all that period. And basically Quincy Jones, somewhere around, I want to say the 70s, I want to say early 70s to 80s is when he really kind of rose to the power on being close to the top of that platform. And everybody kind of had to go through him in a sense. And it's even rumored that he was trying to force Tupac to do certain things with him that Tupac was not keen on doing, which some people say that could have been another motive to spin into paying people on the streets who already had grievances against Tupac to do things that would result in his demise. So yes, there is that element that he did cause problems and he had beefs with people on the streets. But also, if you have a beef with somebody and somebody is willing to toss you some money to, escalate that beef, that can't be not factored into the equation, in my opinion. So, I mean, I would say that all of these things went in. Tevin Campbell, For those who remember him back in the day, Tevin Campbell was rumored to have done some things with him, and he was notoriously known to be closeted homosexual. And Quincy Jones actually, his daughter, I'm trying to remember her name. Was it Rashida Jones, who's like a popular actress right now? A lot of people don't realize that's his daughter because she looks basically white. But yeah, Quincy Jones is the person that got to be looked at because in my theory and looking at things, I would say a lot of the grooming that groomed Diddy was probably Quincy Jones.
Some wild shit, man, but it all makes sense. And you start seeing how, unfortunately, not everyone, again, some people break through these vicious cycles, but some people that sometimes get abused become abusers themselves down the line. You know what I'm saying? Not all the time, but it does happen. I mean, we would be remiss if if we didn't acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's again when all this stuff started coming out with Diddy, I definitely raised my eyebrows, but I wasn't surprised. And one thing that I often say is this is why you need to look into the conspiracies in all things, because when shit like this happens, you're like, oh, damn, I didn't see that coming, but it don't surprise me.
It made me lean towards believing more so like what Mace was talking about different artists, that how Craig Mack's not here anymore, how Black Rob's not here anymore, Lil C's is not here anymore. Like Biggie's had probably like a good 4 or 5 artists, meet your untimely fate. And then you had another 4 or 5 people who were I mean, Diddy probably got like 12 people easily that are big name people who have perished before the age of 40 being around him, half of them just having heart attacks. I mean, when do you hear of just people in their 30s just having heart attacks? I mean, it's just a lot going
now that
on.
the vaccine has been going on.
Well, I'm talking about pre any of that. I mean,
yeah, no, I get what you're saying, man. Yeah, that shouldn't be a deal.
And don't forget, was it Kid Cudi? There's rumor that he blew up his car.
Yeah, and Cassie talked about that in her lawsuit. And for those that haven't really followed the whole Diddy saga, that's really what blew it open, was when Cassie made her lawsuit against him for 30 million. Diddy settled that bitch the very next day.
He was like, "How much you want?
How much you want?" Very next day, he settles out of court with Cassie, but then the cat was let out of the bag, if you will, right after that. And it's funny because, again, the video of him beating the shit out of Cassie in that hotel only came out a few days ago, maybe about a week ago, something like that, a short time ago. And this incident took place quite a while ago. And we're only seeing it now. And so you see, again, the star
5-10 years ago.
Yeah, you're seeing the star power where shit can get held on to as long as needed, if need be.
Here's another angle. Angle that I don't think people think about when I had a feeling stuff was going to start getting brought up. The whole TD Jakes stuff. Do you remember that?
Have you ever been swallowed? Swallowed.
I would.
Oh my god, dude! That puts that video when you realize it's just like all these other scumbags that got associated with Epstein. You take a different look at them, whether it's Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You find out he was on Epstein Island. Like, yeah, damn, man, I don't know how I feel about you anymore. And it's the same thing now going on with Diddy, with all these people that was partying hard with Diddy, all these people that was in bed with Diddy, taking pictures on his bed. It's like, all right, now. I mean, I saw a video clip of The Game kind of talking innuendos about his friendship with Diddy. And so it's making you take a second look, and you're like, damn, it all makes sense.
And
his
bouncer, what his bouncer said about the story about him and Ja Rule and towels, and that day before he spent out, dildo shopping, and he had a big thing for butt plugs.
Oof.
I'm like,
and the thing, like, there's definitely a lot of shit to laugh about and make fun of, but then there's some more serious shit, man. Like, I've started to wonder, like, how many deaths have been attributed to Diddy? Now, a lot of people are wondering about Biggie Smalls, Tupac, and people are re-examining that. I mean, look at Kim Porter. Look at Kim Porter.
D said that. Keefe D said that Diddy paid him. The man who is like being charged with it right now said that Diddy's the one who paid him.
Fuck. Yeah. And I don't want to gloss over Kim Porter, man, because that one breaks my heart, man. Here you have the mother of his children who went through fucking hell, man. It was a nightmare time for her. She's a petite lady, and she went through some real fucked up, horrific shit, and she died of pneumonia.
Supposedly,
here, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not buying that at all. And so this goes back to him and re-examining everything. What we're getting into right now are part of the reasons why I say, God damn, he makes Epstein look not so bad. It
was known about like the abuse, like the open, like domestic violence that went on. Like,
yeah,
I mean, people said that Diddy was like a little terrifying to be around, and not because it's this wealthy, powerful person who could fire me at the drop of a dime. It was like, no, because he's kind of a little bit of a terrorist. Like, he didn't have a problem getting up in your face, threatening you, intimidating you. That is the issue that, like, and so any man who, for one, you're going to beat on somebody who can't defend themselves, I already don't respect. You're going to beat on a woman, I don't respect that. You're going to, and you're going to take it to the next level. You're going to beat on the woman that you're supposed to be her protector, and your kid's mother. Come on, man.
Yeah, that one, that's the one that tugs at my heartstrings, even with the Cassie thing. But
and she's right. She was writing a tell-all book too.
Yeah. And and again, I mean, any other person would have been prime suspect number one, would have gone to trial for that shit, and he's out there doing his outlandish behavior, time in and time out. I mean, even that incident with J-Lo where he fired a weapon.
She's claiming now that he abused her.
Yeah. And some people are like, well, why are people talking now? Well, for one, if Diddy is bigger than Epstein or on the at least same level as Epstein, that's some big and powerful people, man.
Well, I don't think he was bigger. I don't think he's as big. I just think the stuff that he did was more flagrant.
But I mean,
because Diddy was, because Epstein was dealing with like politician and world leaders.
But so was Diddy though, man. He was campaigning hard for the Clintons. He was.
But that's like one world leader. Like,
yeah, but people forget that Diddy and Trump were homies too.
Yeah,
until until Trump declared himself as a Democrat. And then the WWE, political WWE comes out. Oh, you're a Democrat now. Now we're not friends anymore.
But I
blah,
don't
blah,
I
blah,
don't
blah.
think Diddy had any evidence on any of them though. I don't think like it was kind of like him
But they were all
trying
going to the
to.
parties, bro. These guys were going to the parties. Kind of like Epstein had his parties and his client list. A lot of these same people was going to the Diddy parties.
Possibly, but I just don't think that there was as many people in the political realm into the Diddy realm because Diddy was in the entertainment. It's not much that these people could get from Diddy that he could really offer them. I mean, except for some donations, maybe. But Epstein was able to like the people that he's working for. He's trying to get legislation for billion-dollar things to happen, and that's where I'm saying that's because I mean it wasn't only like the Clintons and Trump and like probably at least another 100. Well, that's on the list. Another 100, senators, governors. I mean, all throughout the state. And then you start factoring in different world leaders from multiple countries. I think Epstein was, but the difference is, I feel Diddy was an informant for the FBI. I feel Epstein was tied in with the CIA and Mossad.
Yeah, yeah, that's what would make Epstein maybe on a higher level. But as far as crimes committed, damn man, I mean it's just monsters, bro. And
Well, as far
it's
as we
even
know,
stupid to,
we know for a fact sex trafficking, bribery, racketeering from Epstein. With Diddy, we probably can point to at least accusations of murders, like that you are a legitimate suspect in multiple murders.
yeah.
Whereas we didn't. I'm not saying that Epstein wasn't. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that Epstein's not. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying
as far as
with
we
Diddy,
know, as far you yeah,
we got reasonable assumption, probable cause to believe that he could be implicated in murders.
yeah. That's what takes this whole thing into a whole nother realm, man, because uh I mean, there's no question they're both scummy, man. But you start throwing murder into the mix, and again, like I feel the same way. That's what we know about. I mean, for
That
all
we
we know,
know.
Epstein could have been murdering motherfuckers left and right, and we just never know.
True. There could be so much more that Epstein could have been involved in. I know
Yeah,
that like recently for Diddy, they have a guy who's supposed to be his gun and drug trafficker. And so we don't know what's the level of guns we're talking about. Are we talking about you had up to the level of a small army because you kept that for your protection detail? Or were you supplying weapons to somebody? I mean, were you, was this like, were you like a Lord of War kind of thing? Were you like a distributor, like a middleman, or did you just have these for your private detail? That's some questions that we have to find out. That when they say drug trafficking, um, and please, please don't think that I'm trying to diminish any of this stuff when I'm saying it. I'm just trying to lay this stuff out. Are we talking about a drug trafficker, as in you are trafficking these drugs that you are using to manipulate these people, that you are spiking their drinks and food? Or are we talking about a distributor who is actually distributing multiple different types of narcotics and dispersing these throughout cities, i.e., working with organized crime, cartels, gangs, things like that? I mean, because you could throw out the title, but there's difference what each one is doing. That's all I'm saying. Trying to figure out, okay, well, what do we mean by his gun runner and drug trafficker?
yeah, yeah. It's just a giant web, man. When it comes down to it, and we'll never really know the entire ins and outs of it because we're only going to get bits and pieces that are allowed for us as the general public to consume. So again, we may never even really know why he was sacrificed. Maybe we may have inklings as to why, but we'll never know 100% sure that of the fact as to why. But there's no question when you go through Diddy's rap sheet, he had many, 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 many run-ins with the law that the average person would have been locked up for long periods of time, and constantly he was let out. And we're also hearing he had tapes, blackmail tapes on a lot of these people. And so that could be a reason why he got away with a lot of shit for a long time. And what's weird to me is how he got rated, man, in somewhat of a like a movie-esque type of way. You had these dudes in army, military fatigues, crashing down his residences, his son's getting arrested. Meanwhile, he's out of town. And what are your thoughts, man? Like, part of me wants to say that a lot of this is theatrics.
Of course.
You see him doing TikTok videos, dancing in an undisclosed location.
Well,
what are your thoughts when you see this shit?
Well, you remember Chappelle's show, right? And they had Tron on, and they were showing the difference between like when you got money and the difference, and like they flipped it, and they had the white guy be like the low level guy, and Tron is like the big time person. Like they show up, they kick in dude's door, they shoot the dog, like they're slapping the wife around, doing all this crazy stuff. And then when it's Tron and they're like, I guess I can turn myself in on like Wednesday. Wednesday work for you guys? Okay. And then he's like super late, and then they're like, oh well, it's perfectly all right that you're late turning yourself in. It's just the difference of classes. And so if we were hearing this story about, say, me or you, we wouldn't even get bond for something like this. We would have been definitely taken in at the same time when they seized the stuff in our place, and we would have been taken in and held, and we would have been charged. An arraignment would have already happened by now. But this kind of situation is weird. It's the same thing. That's why I say it's a certain degree of show. And what I think is, this is the elites trying to tell him, hey, we can make this shit get a lot worse for you. Now, do you want to shut your mouth and do you want to humble down and bow that head? Or do we have to punish you and teach you what it's like when you step out of line?
Yeah, are we gonna have to again, a humiliation ritual, go through that shit. And you'll see a lot of these videos of people having these black eyes, the black eye club.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of weird shit goes on with these elite circles that people would dismiss. Oh yeah, that's just fantastical thinking, but there's a lot of goddamn evidence to back this shit up. And it's these inner workings of these high level puppets. What's that?
Did you that I was reading that comment from Angel Hall said, I guess this must be a younger person. Did you see the comment when Tupac died?
Were you all alive? Yeah, I did. Were you all
Yes.
alive when Tupac died? Yes, I was in high school when Tupac died.
Same here.
And I'm from the West Coast, so I grew up on Tupac music. I grew up vibing the shit out of it. And then I was a few weeks ago old when someone directed me to a 16-year-old Tupac interview. I think he was interviewing for some movie role or some shit like that. And Tupac seemed extremely articulate, nothing wrong with that. But he also
was it the one where he's in the studio?
Yeah, he's wearing like a pink shirt or something.
He was being interviewed, I think, on MTV.
Yeah, he was extremely articulate, coupled with a healthy dosing of extreme flamboyancy. interpret that as you will. But he didn't come off as that thug style rapper that he rapped about or portrayed himself to be. He didn't come off like that at all, bro. Like, as a matter of fact, I went to Diddy's YouTube channel today, and I was going through some of his videos. I was reading the comments. A lot of people were like, "F you, Diddy," like, "I hope you burn. You need to face justice." Like, it was people were hating hardcore.
I'm trying to think of who could we even compare right now in America to the level Tupac was on. It's hard because
he was huge, no question.
I mean, at that time, Tupac was the biggest artist, period, across.
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably the biggest artist in the well, I can't say the world because I don't know how it was everywhere else, but oh no, Nas was like, no, Tupac was here, Nas was here. Like, it was not close. I'm trying to think, man. I can't even compare, because I would say somebody like a Jay-Z, but Jay-Z doesn't even perform that level. And there's a lot of people who either like him, some people don't. I mean, some people are like, oh, he's okay. So, but Tupac, everybody who liked him loved Tupac.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It wasn't no kind of in between, with Tupac.
And that's the thing, man. Like, a few weeks ago, I saw this video of a young Tupac interviewing, and I was like, whoa, dude, my entire life is a lie. My childhood is a lie, bro. Like, sometimes you get emotionally attached to certain views, certain thoughts, certain ideas, and it's hard to let go of it. Like, for me, Tupac, I still love his shit, but my views on Tupac, he's an actor.
Okay, well, but you know where him and Jada met, right?
No.
In the Baltimore Performing Arts School.
That explains everything. And I remember years ago hearing the rumor that Tupac would hang out with Jada and hang out.
Yeah.
And back then
I think
was
that's
like,
why Will Smith is having the problems he has now.
and I was like, dude, if Tupac was hanging out with Jada, he was clapping them cheeks. Now I'm like, oh shit, that was her gay homie.
Probably. Well, I think it was a little.
Probably helped her choose some outfits.
Well, see, what I think it is I think when you get to that level, and that's part of like what this one Diddy like recording that I heard. Like, again, I don't know if it's authentic, faked, whatever, but it said that part of the power and the enjoyment of it is taking a straight man and forcing him to do something that he wants to, not holding him down and taking it, but having enough power over them to convince a straight man to do things that he would not typically want to do. And that's kind of that same prison mentality. Some of the guys in prison will say, oh, I'm not gay, but it's a power aspect to say that I have this much control over this other man. I can make him do things he would never, ever want to do.
That sounds like that Mike Tyson threat. He was like, I'm gonna F you till you love me, you effing faggot.
I remember that. Well, that's the same man that told somebody he wanted to eat their kids.
Yeah. Like, praise be to Allah. Hell yeah. That's a classic Mike Tyson. I don't know if we'll see.
Well, that. I think that's that's the effects of probably PEDs going a little awry. Oh.
Yeah, very, very well could be. Yeah, I mean, the Diddy saga. I'm sure more and more shit's gonna be coming out.
I guess that's what I can compare. That's what if you took Nas, 50 Cent, and Jay-Z, and they all died at the same time, that's the equivalent of what it was like when Tupac died.
Yeah, that rocked the world, man. It truly did. Everyone was like, damn. I remember the night I heard the news. It was homecoming night, and I was fuck, I want to say freshman or sophomore in high school, and I was going out. I went with this white chick to homecoming, and then her mom drove us, and she was driving us home. And on the radio, they were talking about it. I'm like, oh shit, it was like when you were all in on Tupac music, that shit hit hard. You couldn't believe it. And that's why you started even hearing a lot of people soon after. Oh, he didn't die. I seen him over here. He's in Jamaica. Because a lot of people didn't want to accept it.
Especially if you were on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Because I was out here when Kobe died, and how, man, this city was reeling when that happened. I'm not saying that it wasn't people all over who were broken up, but it really hit the city hard.
Yeah. No, when those people become fixtures of basically where you're at, where you're living. It's people that you hear or see every day on the TV or the radio, and
or who show up to places, where it's the equivalent of like Derek Thomas for the Chiefs when he died. He used to come up to the schools and meet with the kids and all kind of stuff. So, when somebody is like made themselves a fixture of your community outside of just their art form that they do, the city feels it a little differently.
Yeah, it's for sure. It was definitely one of those moments that you remember. Anytime something major happens, where you were at. When you heard the news, what you were doing, and so that's why I can recollect exactly when that happened. That was on a homecoming when I was in high school, and I remember, that moment, and it reminds me in a way where George Bush Sr. Couldn't remember where he was the day JFK got assassinated, and of course, a lot of people put him in as one of the key players to the whole JFK assassination, and one of those reasons why is because how the hell do you not remember what you were doing? What was your alibi when JFK got shot? Because that was another Earth. You and I weren't
Especially
alive.
it's in your realm,
Yeah,
you're a political person, and something like that happens. It's kind of weird
and
for
you
you
don't
not
know
to
where
know.
the hell you were. Get the fuck out of here.
It's like I was in the military during 9/11, and so everybody who was in the military during 9/11 definitely knows where the heck they were.
Yeah. Same thing, man. I was in college when that happened, and was going to one class, and teachers like, nope, the Twin Towers have been here, and I don't need. At that point in time, even though I was going to college, whatever, I had no idea what the Twin Towers were or what, because I was from the West. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I just figured it was like a business building. I didn't realize they were the tallest towers, some of the tallest towers in the entire planet. I had no idea. I just figured they were business
It,
buildings.
it's ironic you said that, because I had the same reaction, because I got a call from my girlfriend at the time, and I'm like, she's like, the towers got hit, and I'm like, the heck are you talking about? And I figure, oh, this Italian girl, she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. And then when they said World Trade Center, I was like, oh, those towers. Oh, okay. All right. That made it a little different.
Yeah. Like I only found out later, might have been later that day, or maybe even a couple of days later. Sadly to say, it's not like a bragging thing or nothing. It's just I literally was completely ignorant to the importance of those towers and how many people precisely,
Well, I knew about it
was living
because I
there.
remember 95 when the first attempt happened with the van in the basement and all that. So that's why I was definitely familiar. And I had been to New York before 9/11, so I mean, I remember, them being there. It's not like I was hanging out in New York all the time or anything like that, but um, I had been in. So, and for me, being military, yeah, you're definitely gonna remember because it I mean, everybody who was active duty, you went from relaxing, doing nothing because it was kind of in a decline. We were doing like it was kind of like a drawdown from Bosnia and Kosovo to all right, instantly we don't know who we're going to war with, but we're going to war with somebody.
I mean, that's one of those situations that now in hindsight is like, damn, man, it was all part of the
Yeah.
plan. Nowadays when I hear people spout out the official story on 9/11, it's one of those things. I start laughing. For real, you believe that shit? And then a lot of times they'll look at you like you're fucking crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Of course 9/11 happened like the official story. Some fucking dudes living in caves with box cutters just so happened to hijack and put this elaborate plan and attacked on precisely the day when they were doing war games so that the defense system was down. I mean, all these coincidences and fucking terrorist IDs being
Sound a lot
found.
like October 7th.
Same
I'm not.
shit, man.
I know. We're on YouTube. I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah,
but.
yeah. I can't expand on that. But if anyone has any questions, check out John Hankey's YouTube channel. October 7th was an inside job. If there's any doubt, I think he lays down his case the goddamn well, bro. You're like, holy shit. You tell me they stood down for how long? You tell me an Apache helicopter?
3.5, 4 hours?
4 hours? You're going to tell me an Apache helicopter could have got there in 3 to 5 minutes and laid the pipe on all these fucking lawnmower paragliders?
Mm-hmm.
But
not that you don't have radar and cameras and sensors galore.
Yeah.
Like if you start hammering something in your house on the other side of that fence, their sensors go off. I mean, the sensors pick up a cat walking across the fence. It picks up all that, but somehow the radar, sensors, nothing caught any of this stuff coming. And then just so happened that the Nova Music Festival sitting there, and there's no idea to possibly sit around just in case something might happen. In fact, they're all the way pulled away, all the way to the West Bank. All of them.
Well, one of the biggest red flags for me immediately after this October 7th stuff, or as some people are now calling it, 7 October. Get the fuck out of here. That's so rainbow colored. One of the biggest red flags for me is how Israel immediately comes out and say, this is our 9/11. I'm like, oh, so y'all are admitting it was a false flag by comparing it to 9/11. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like a self-admission, some disclosure of some kind. It's it's hilarious, man. And kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, how some people are like, well, why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care? Because when Diddy turns out to be a diddler, yeah, it might raise your eyebrows, but you ain't surprised. When you start seeing certain topics being weaponized, like if you even say October 7th was not like the official story, you are an anti-Semite, you're racist Marcus for not believing the official narrative. It's these stupid games that start being played and employed, and again, it's done by design. It's all propaganda designed to confuse us, to keep us divided. So we're just dumbed down and just arguing amongst each other instead of taking down the real culprits at the top of this heap, man. And again, these top culprits ain't Diddy, It ain't Epstein. It ain't Bill Gates. It ain't Klaus Schwab. These are just the faces of these organizations or groups. They're just the faces.
Well,
And
it's like
every now and then they get sacrificed. And that's what we're seeing right now.
it's like I laugh at it when I hear people go into what's his name? I'm blanking who a lot of the right love to go to and say, oh well, this is
Elon Musk,
why come I can't remember his name? Oh, they say he's funding every George Soros. George Soros.
Soros. Yeah.
George Soros is not the only one of those billionaires who is funding stuff. He's not he's not like this kingpin. And if you're only looking for this one guy's name, and then once you see his name, it's automatically this is it, then you guys are still got a long way to go to understand what's going on. In fact, even the people who are nefarious like this, every single thing they do is not, part of some kind of plan. They're not literally like an evil mastermind sitting in a cave. You gotta, even like corporate raiders, there's a certain amount of stuff which they do is put towards actual charity and stuff like that to cover up all the dirt that they're doing. So you can't always look at everything on face value and think that's what it is. I mean, every time you see, oh, there's a picture of this politician with Putin, that means it don't necessarily mean anything. You got to look more to it. It can't just be this one, singular thread that you tie to it. You need to find multiple threads to support it. Just like a chair, you can't have one leg.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these people, they get propped up. It doesn't matter if it's like an Elon Musk, a Diddy.
Well,
they get propped up.
Of course, Elon Musk's money is off mostly DOD money. Well, if the DOD stopped funding him, like right now, Diddy's net worth would drop almost in half.
Yeah. Well, what's that quote? Like, if the people want a hero, we'll manufacture one for them.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget. That's exactly what happens, man. And even Elon Musk, you hear him talking about free speech. Bitch, is he really free speech? There's a lot of people that are still shadow banned. I'm included in that bunch. But so many other people have been banished for simply saying, I don't stand with genocide. That'll get you banned off of this quote unquote free speech platform. It's a goddamn joke.
But you know what? If you want to be outwardly racist on there over and over and over and strike racial tensions, you can get millions of hits on your views. That's one thing that I've noticed. The people who have some of the most toxic viewpoints and theories, or they take something and take a snippet of it and use that, those people are literally getting the most views on Twitter. And yes, I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm not calling it X because that sounds stupid. I got to try to explain it.
Yeah, I still call it Twitter. I don't mess with that X. But I mean, at the end of the day, all these goddamn platforms, these large platforms, whether it's X, GooTube, it's all controlled. And so even doing this show, I was like, should I put it on YouTube? I mean, I might as well, because if I lose it, I lose it. And so if you enjoy this content, follow me on my alternative platforms. First of all, I rarely post on YouTube anyways. And I should be posting even more, because if I get nuked again, I don't give a fuck. People need to realize that these platforms ain't conducive to actual truth. You'll get squashed out. They'll run your ass out. They don't want this kind of shit going on. It's kind of like what we were talking about at the very beginning, how certain people are allowed to flourish while others get cast into oblivion. It's who they want. And so I was thinking of like, should I do it? Should I not? Fuck, I don't care, man.
It's just like I'll challenge people. You want to look for say leftist Black content creators. See how many of them you can find. And I'm not even saying that you care about leftist ideology or that you are whatever. I'm just saying as a test. Look on here, and you're going to find in the leftist space predominantly white voices. Now, if you want to look for even black political voices, majority of them that you're going to hear are going to be conservatives. And the
Yeah, the
reason why
Hodge twins is
conservatives push them
huge.
up,
Yeah.
conservatives boost up a black face. But for some reason on the so-called left side, or even let's say not even say left side, the truther side or conspiracy, whatever you want to say, who are covering any kind of political commentary, who are not conservatives, you don't see them get promoted up.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I are like the lone voices, man. I don't see any Latinos saying the same
Mhm.
shit that I say, but it's
Now,
important.
if you want to talk about how you can decorate your 64 Chevy and putting airbags and stuff on the back and yeah, you want to talk about that?
Pimp
Yeah,
that ride.
pimp that ride. You want to do a mechanic shop? Yeah, they'll push that up. If I want to start talking about all the drama only that talk about in the hip hop community, or I want to talk about sports, or I want to talk about some damn braids or some shit like that, and the
That's the shit
newest
that gets pushed.
hairstyle. Yeah, I can
You,
talk
you,
about
you,
that.
it's funny because that's exactly what made me blow up to begin with. I was talking shit about this Sean Atwood character, and I made the joke earlier. I'm like Sean Diddy Atwood, because he's a piece of shit too. He's a scumbag. He does these YouTube videos with a little suit and tie, and tries to act like, oh, Epstein did this, oh, indubitably. But he's a piece of shit that hires hookers and gets GoFundMe for them. And he's a total fucking scammer. But that YouTube pushes his bullshit out, and he's considered alternative media. So this, I guess, this kind of touches on this other subject where just because you're an alternative media doesn't mean you're dropping truth bombs. You could be a total scammer like this Sean Atwood piece of shit, and just get propped up by the YouTube algorithm or whatever it may be. And when I started talking shit about him, I was getting pushed by the YouTube algorithm. That's what helped me
Oh yeah,
get.
division always sells.
Dude, I had YouTube videos with 80,000 views, bro. Like my shit was going viral, and that's what got me big. And then I stopped talking about that, and even some of the longtime people that was following me. Tonight I'm seeing them coming out again, and this is the first time I've seen them in years. But so it's not just totally the algorithm. Sometimes your own viewers, unfortunately, they just want a certain topic that they want to hear, and this is probably going to piss some people off, but they probably come out to this topic because it's similar to the Sean Atwood shit talking I used to do, and now we're talking shit about Diddy, and so it's similar in that regard. If I'm being honest, so if it pisses you off, I'm just being 100% honest. Because where have y'all been for the last couple of years when I've been on Rockfin or these other activities?
Well, and that's
But
another thing. I would give Rockfin a little bit of slack, and probably Rumble and Spotify, that they don't do a good enough job at trying to expose new voices, or build up any kind of lower voices. It's only let's build the top tier talent, and the rest of the people who are down towards the little smaller ones, we don't really care about them. Yeah, do your stuff. If you fizzle out, you fizzle out, whatever.
yeah, it's those control measures, and whatever they whatever they want to flourish, that's what's going to happen. Um, do you have anything else on P Diddy, or
What I would
I don't want to
say,
take too much damn time because I know you got a show coming up in
yeah,
about
I
an hour
start
or so.
getting ready for my show.
Yeah,
Oh, what's
yeah, it's almost
oh
7,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
That shit
Well,
went flying.
7 your time, yeah, but I mean, I guess I got a couple of hours is my time. That'll give me enough time to grab something to eat, and get prepared. Well, I got everything set up, so it's just a matter of doing, all the computer work. But
Yeah,
I would just say that I expect for more to be coming out on Diddy. I saw another girl who posted who just filed a suit saying that he what was it? Accusing him of sexual assault. So
actually, there's
and they're saying that she was drugged.
five
That's what I'm
more
saying.
accusations. Did you hear about that?
Mm-hmm.
It's
See,
getting bigger.
and at this point, I don't know how much of that is legitimate, or if that's the powers that be have decided it's time for us to take you down, and we'll just kind of, you know, pad the stats in a sense. We're going to throw a couple of extra ones in there just to make sure we get you out of there, because I do believe that the people who are behind it often do that. You know, they often, you know, it can be like, well, this person, they stabbed this person, you know, 13 times, and you know, they died. That's horrible enough. But some of these people who are involved in it, they got to take it to the extra level. No, they stabbed him 13 times. Then he ran him over with his car a couple more times. And then he like smeared all his blood all over his face and then did a YouTube video. I mean, they got to make it extra a lot of times. And so some of these extra people who might be coming out in some of these stories, I don't know how much of this is going to be legitimate. I'm not saying that they're all liars. I'm not even saying that every one of them is false. But I do know that some of the people who are involved in this tend to like to go for the overkill, even if they have to fabricate it to get that overkill. So that's what I would say. But yeah, I don't have anything else right now. I would tell people go back and look at those Jaguar Wright interviews, which she was talking about Diddy. I would say go check out damn it, I was wondering how long I'd go before I got froze. But
yeah, you did freeze, but I can still hear you.
okay, so I guess I'll just talk in the meantime. The Jaguar, right? Look at that. I would say look at Mace, what Mace had to say about Diddy. I would look at also what Uncle Luke, what he had to say about Diddy. Um, I would say probably pull up the Crazy Bone in it. Was it crazy? I think it's Crazy Bone when he's talking about the private prisons. Um, and one other one. Oh yeah, the Corey Holcomb. What he's saying in his response to Tiffany Haddish. Though he's not talking about Diddy, it all ties around to it. And even if you guys haven't seen that Cat Williams interview on Club Shay Shay, I think that he was leaking a whole lot of this stuff that's coming out right now and stuff that is to come out later.
Yeah, Cat Williams has been dropping a lot of truth bombs, man.
Mm-hmm.
Calling a lot of these clowns up. Cat Williams is one of the few with the balls to do it, man. I mean, I mentioned Kevin Hart earlier, how there's that video of him like alluding to the fact there's no way in hell he's gonna get into bed with Diddy because he knows what that's all about, and yet he didn't say shit.
Dude,
And
there's a video of Mike Tyson where Diddy tries to put.
Oh shit. I know my boy Marcus sometimes has some internet issues, so maybe he'll jump back on. If you can hear me, Marcus, lost you, so hit that link again. But if he doesn't come back on, he's still got to get ready for his show, so completely understand. Great show. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It seems like we had a nice, good crowd tonight, and had a few on, not much on Twitter, but we had a few, and then we had a nice little crowd on Rockfin. Hell yeah, that's what it's about. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you follow What is Truth podcast on your favorite podcast player. If you enjoyed Marcus, definitely check out his YouTube, Rockfin, at the bottom of the description here. And I'm going to jump on with Uncle Tom for about an hour. So go to TNP, The New Prisoners, and I'm going to be hitting it there. Marcus, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I can hear you, bro. But I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want to leave you hanging. And
no, you're good, bro. I understand, bro.
I wanted to make sure to shout out to everybody who came and spent time listening. I appreciate all of you guys. And I appreciate Weezy for having me on here. Much appreciated. As he knows, always welcome to come over to our platform. He's definitely a friend of the show, and I consider him a friend in general. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say to close it out. And I'll drop out of here before it completely freezes up on me again, and eventually got to figure out whatever tech issues I got going on. But like I say again, much appreciation, brother. Call me up. We can always talk anytime you want.
My man, Marcus, I know that, bro. You're my homie. And we're definitely gonna be doing it. Whether I jump in with your show, we'll do another show. We might even do a little, oh, lost him again. A little friendly religious discussion. Awesome. Thank you guys for all that made it out, especially the folks in YouTube land that I haven't seen or heard from in a long time. Let's give some shout outs to some people, man. Shout out to the awesome Miss T, Angelina, Kitty Cat, the lovely Miss Hev, Extra Bulla, George O'Brien, Jared Brown. Who else we got? We got Mr. Oklahoma, Thomas Oklahoma, and I think I got everyone. And then on the Rock Fin, we got Teresa. Shout out to Teresa. Gregory Walker. Hell yeah. Torches and pitchforks. Hemp Car. Mr. Tom Cooper is there, and I'm going to join Mr. Tom Cooper in the gang in a little bit. Let's see. And yeah, thank you guys all night, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys learned a little bit. And yeah, I have a feeling this bitch is going to get even bigger. It's going to, like I'm saying, man, the level of accusations he's going through, he makes Epstein look like a good guy, and that's saying a lot. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm sure I'll be doing more coverage on this. Next week I have Addy Ads. He'll be talking about his book where he got blackmailed. He's done a lot of Epstein coverage. Maybe we'll even touch on a little bit of Diddy next week. And then UFC fight next week. Gonna be a banger of a night as far as the UFC is concerned. So definitely gonna be doing that. Let's see. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, and we will catch you on the flip side.